Alrighty, I think we're live. Cool. All right, welcome to another episode of GPT with me. I'm with your host, Travis Freisinger, trying a few new things with regards to kind of the streaming composition and helping frame the thing I'm going after. So we'll see how it works. Anyway, it's an experiment in the truest sense. Awesome. So let's get into it. Got a little video of myself now. A couple things I want to do here. I want to refactor the scribe code to use a factory pattern. Why? Well, I want to start expanding my experimentation, playing with different transcription services. Not that I think, I'm going to move away from Whisper anytime soon. It's drastically faster than Google or other things. But there's a small seam I want to play with here, and that's the idea of Groq being able to kind of be the inference engine. If you're not familiar with Grok, they are an interesting company. So what is Groq? Groq is the AI infrastructure company that delivers fast AI inference. They're basically just trying to design hardware, LPU, that allows inference to happen way faster, which I think is cool. I've been following them for a while. I saw a LinkedIn post pop up from Eric here, who I believe runs the alphasignals.ai. Also subscribe to that. Just a recommendation there if you're not. Some interesting insights. But the idea is, I wanted to put Groq. I wanted to have a reason to poke around. There's a nice little code snippet here, which is great. I happen to have a thing that does transcriptions. I happen to want to make it modular so that I can swap that around. Maybe do silly things at runtime, depending on user preferences. Ultimately, I want to scale this up to something that is proper software. It's not just a small little tinker playground project. And I don't want to be making changes that I need to put in branches or do odd things for. I'm sure there's quicker ways to hack this in, but really putting a factory pattern is not super intensive, and it'll be interesting to see what it's like to be able to play with more options here. So yeah, refactor, so it's injectable. Obviously, I'll be using ChatGPT to help figure that out, and then default the factory to using Grok as per the LinkedIn post. Now, when I say default, that part's going to be the experiment that I probably don't commit. I would still keep using the way it is. I'm sure I probably have to sign up for some credentials and put some credits on, which I'll go about doing. Cool, so let's get into it. Let me just find my code here. All right, so we've got our scribe code. So basically, can't remember, you're tuning in for the first time. The idea is that I take a video recording, YouTube or Zoom or something. I know Zoom has its own transcripts, but there's a different idea of play there, being able to kind of maybe merge them and get a better quality artifact. And then it's going to transcribe the audio, giving me a transcription that I can then go through, ask to summarize, pull out key points, all the fun things that happen with, text to speech, speech to text. Text to speech is a slightly different thing. Cool. So let's copy the code. And let's head over to here, and let's just say, given this code segment, how can I refactor to use the factory pattern for audio transcription? Okay, so it's going to go, hey, cool, let's refactor this code. We'll create a transcription factory. So the idea is we have this piece of code that allows us to, kind of behind a common interface, make a choice. So I can say, oh, I want to use the Grok one, or I want to use the OpenAI, or I want to use the Google, or I want to use, I don't know, my own local version of Whisper that I'm running, because I believe it's an open source model. Whatever, you want to do, you've got the option. It's all hidden behind. There's a common interface. It's abstracted away. So we can see here it's got a transcription service with the definition of transcribe. So I've got an OpenAI transcription service that takes that transcription service. Here's my factory. Here's the thing that's doing the work. And static is right. I by no means profess to be a Python expert. It is like somewhere in the 30-odd languages I've programmed. I've scraped together some experience, came off a project recently that had some pretty deep Python needs, but not my strongest suit, so I'm going to apply things I know. So it's going to go through static method. So obviously it's pretty simple for the initial refactor. So the goal here is to kind of get us into a factory pattern with ChatGPT, kind of set the foundation, give us something to work from, and then we'll go about playing with the Groq piece to just see how that goes. I know I keep saying I want to get to a bigger picture thing, but I keep coming across these fun little things that I happen to have a little tinker project for, and it's just I can't resist the urge to go experiment and see. Okay, so for the most part, this looks pretty much what I would expect it to be. So here's that explainability I was talking about in the last episode, where it tell me what it's doing. It's done both kind of a combination of additional comments and telling me about the transcription service, how the OpenAI transcription service implements the underlying thing, the factory, and then the audio generated service by the factory. So that allows you to be more create new classes that implement the service to return the correct service based on, it said key, but in this case I'm probably going to use other criteria. There'll probably be some kind of enum or something to pass it through and say, hey, make me a Google transcription service. Make me an OpenAI transcription service. So as per usual, let's copy it. Let's go over to the code. Let's dump it in. Let's see if it works. I don't even remember what thing this thing was pulling once upon a time. I probably already have the audio. If you're not familiar, there's a bit of a situation where if the audio exists, it doesn't work. I'm not going to fix that because I am going to eventually be moving this out into Azure Functions. Okay. It was the last episode I recorded. Funny enough. So it's going to run the transcription. So ultimately, if this comes out with a refactoring code with GPT with me. Okay, so it did change the title, so this would have been the previous one. So it's chunking it into pieces here. Yeah, part 0, because there's a size limit on the Whisper API. Ultimately, that might need to be configurable as per the provider type. That's something I'd have to probably figure out as I dig a little bit deeper into this. But the goal right now is just to take this one piece and convert it over. All right, so we're waiting for it. It seems pretty likely that this is going to succeed. I'd be quite surprised. There's the old transcription text. But I want to make sure. I want to make sure I got everything working, got it all going the right way. I don't see anything in here. Ideally, I'd probably pull out some of this into separate files, but there's a value in having one giant app file right now as I push everything into GPT and work with it that way. Likely going to be the last change. I know I keep saying this, but I don't think I want to work with this anymore. Now that this is modular, I'm quite happy with that. So we're good. I guess if I was in a more traditional type language, I might use some kind of dependency injection. C#'s got it built in now if you're using .NET Core. If you're still stuck in the framework world, there are options like simple injector. It's been a long time, but there's things out there you can do it with. But this idea of inheritance, it works. Not a huge fan of inheritance, but I don't believe Python has interfaces. Maybe it does. While we wait, let's go ask. Does Python have inter? So yeah, my typing missed the space, but it still knows. Okay, cool. So Python does not have interfaces the same way. It uses an abstract base class, must be implemented, mimic the behavior of interfaces. That's right. I do remember using the ABC stuff on the project. Okay. I don't know if it's changing anything or if it's just going to continue to basically readmit the code. As you can see, it's already starting to get a little specific to the scenario. I do want to pull this out and do. Okay, so it's telling me. Here we go. So now I have an ABC type setup. This is still running. Okay, so let's get back to here. I do prefer the more ABC type thing. I'm going to pull this out. that finished. GPT with me, transcription. Thank you. Okay, I look like, it looks like I've got 2 pretty good transcripts. So I'm going to delete those. I'm going to delete these 2 episodes. Going to go back here, pop it in with the ABC. It's a little bit closer to the way I'm used to working with this stuff. As soon as I get to the processing transcript stuff, I'm going to kill it. We'll come back to it. It does take a moment. I should really find a smaller, a much smaller bit here to work with. Processing audio, come on. Don't really want to move on to the next step because I don't have any tests. I don't have any other way of running this. Something that just doesn't work. Like I said, I don't want to live in this space for a super long time, but you know, while I'm experimenting, while I'm exploring, it's okay. Hoping this week I get around to actually pushing that refactor out, getting this into a more functional type thing, where maybe all I do is just, I don't know, do I have a simple UI? Do I drop a file? Probably a simple UI, which undoubtedly we will use ChatGPT to help drive out, or maybe Copilot. Maybe this is one of those cases where you know, I'll try going back to a Copilot-y type thing, coding them likely because I don't have to pay money for it at this stage. And we'll see. Okay, so it's still processing the audio. Okay, here we go. All right, so it's doing the transcription thing. We look pretty good. Git status, git add, git commit. Let's just say refactor to use factory for. Refactor to use factory for transcription selection. I'm going to push that up. You can see the GitHub repo there. /traf/web scribe. It's open source. Pull it if you want it. Okay, cool. So we've got this transcription service, the transcription factory. It is going to, you know, basically return the thing that I've been using the whole time. So yay, happy days. We got there. It's worked. Excuse me. Things are moving along. That's very exciting. Awesome possum. Okay, so what was the next thing on our list? Oh, let me get the window open. What were we doing? So we've done that. Default factory to using Grok. Okay, so this is where things are going to get slightly more complicated. I'm going to have to go put a Grok endpoint in. I'll probably have to get an API key, do a few things. Make sure the code's actually factored to do that. So self.client. Okay, so it made the client there, and it's going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to just do some old school copy and paste. We'll call this the Groq transcription service. Okay, so here, what are we seeing? There we go. Let's zoom in on this. Okay, so OpenAI. Okay, so API equals the Grok API and then a base URL. Okay, and then base URL is equal to something like that. Let's go back here. API / OpenAI / v1. Okay, that looks right. Let's see if we can kind of, there we go, pull it down. Okay. I'm going to have to go up here. I'm going to have to go get an environmental variable. We'll call it the Grok API key. Grok API key. Q. Yeah, only Q next to each other looks a little confusing, but anyway. I got my .environment, so I can keep this all off screen. And then it's gonna audio file, response format, text, whisper model. Okay, so there's a few extra little thingies I'm gonna want to do here. Okay, so I've got the Groq API key. What's gonna have to change here? Okay, let's scoot it down a little bit more. It's gonna go off the page here. Okay, so I've got the client. Self.Groq. I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. The audio.transcript.create model. That'll be whisper large v3. The audio file. Hopefully the response format and the timestamp granularity still work. That will be interesting. Okay, transcription factory. Well, that's interesting that takes the API key still. Okay, let's go do a little refactoring here in the traditional sense. We'll just say service name, maybe. If service name is equal to OpenAI. Okay. Oh, okay. Because then it's yeah, it knows what it needs. Which is probably under which level of automated help's happening here, but that's pretty nice. And we can go if service Groq API key. Okay, oh, it's got it. Yay, no need to go anywhere else. I'm going to return a service with the API key. We'll keep the pattern. Oh, semicolon. Yeah, that's hard to kill. I think it's equal. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so let's get the factory. Where is this called? References. Okay, so now it's not the open API key anymore. It is going to be the OpenAI. Okay, which is interesting because I grabbed the keys here, didn't I? Where else do I use these? Nowhere else. No, because I don't need to make them global anymore, which makes me feel slightly better. Groq